Hey everyone, what's up? My name is Ryan, aka Elite the Llama. Studio MDHR finally showed off a platforming level in Cuphead, and it looks awesome. Instead of a boss fight, these levels feature quick-paced platforming and tons of enemies. It's time to break this video down frame by frame to uncover any secrets it may hold. Pretty much everything in this video is new, so we have plenty to talk about. Let's get to it. To start, we hear a voiceover for the first time saying it's time for action.
It's time for action!
Which will most likely be said at the beginning of every platforming level. This also implies that there will be voiceovers for the beginning of every boss battle too, since there are similar text on the screen. This is clearly a platforming level from World 1, given that it's the same grassy theme as the overworld. The first enemy we see is a happy flower man, or woman, who descends slowly from the top of the screen, doing nothing but posing. On the ground next to it is a mushroom. When Cuphead gets close enough to the mushroom, it pops out of the ground and shoots a purple ball, which travels across the screen and is not affected by gravity. Cuphead ducks when shooting the mushroom, implying that the enemy is too short to shoot while standing. The mushroom dies from 2 bullets, while the flower dies from 1. I also want to point out how impressive the enemy death explosions look, and in general, just how great the game looks and runs. It's nice to finally see gameplay not recorded off-screen at a loud conference. Next, we have a jumping plant with impressively white teeth, which we have to assume is invincible, as Cuphead never attempts to kill one throughout the video. I timed it, and there's about 1.7 seconds between each jump it makes. Since this first plant was already in the air by the time we saw it, this means it's probably not activated by the player, and will keep jumping whether or not the player is nearby. We then see Cuphead smoothly dash underneath one of the plants, which is pretty cool. Up next we see a new enemy, the purple Tulip. We don't get to see its attack just yet, but it takes 4 bullets to kill. We also see that its hitbox only includes the flower part, not anything below it. There are also floating pink spikes, which can be parried to gain 1 full card. If we back up a little bit, we also see what happens when the happy flower lands. For one, it becomes angry, but it also follows you around the level, going so far as to jump across gaps to get to you. We never see what happens if it gets too close to you. I assume it will either just walk into you or try to attack you. The last part of this encounter I want to point out is the coin, which we know from previous videos lets you unlock weapons, power-ups, and gain access to new levels. Next, we see a small blue enemy that seems to just run back and forth on whatever platform he's on. Cuphead has to duck to shoot it, and 1 bullet is enough to defeat it. We now see the purple Tulip's attack, shooting a seed into the air, which falls back down in a fiery explosion. Also, the Tulip only attacks when you get close enough to it. We see another mushroom, but this time it shoots out a pink, assumedly parryable ball instead of the purple one. The color of the ball is probably random, as I couldn't detect any difference between this mushroom and the others. Another Tulip attacks, but this time the seed goes straight up and down, instead of to the left like we saw before. It can probably shoot in 3 directions, left, up, and right. What's interesting is that the seeds from both tulips, on their way down, go completely through one platform and then explode in the second. If this is true for every seed attack, it's important to keep in mind when trying to dodge it. Our next new enemy is an acorn with a propeller on its head, which travels across the top of the screen until directly above Cuphead, at which point it dive bombs down. We'll see this again later, but when the acorn drops, it falls through all platforms to the bottom of the level. Cuphead then uses his special to defeat a tulip, then parries a pink spike to get his 3rd coin. It appears that your card fills up very slowly, as we can see on the bottom left. Had Cuphead not used pink spikes to gain meter, this is all he'd have. This might seem strange, since the cards charge pretty fast during a boss battle, but since you only gain charge on every bullet that hits an enemy, and all of these enemies only take a hit or 2 to defeat, it makes perfect sense. That means that, at least in the early stages, you'll have to rely heavily on pink spikes and pink attacks to gain your charge. We see here that 2 bullets is enough to destroy an acorn. Cuphead shoots 1 bullet at a hidden mushroom, and then uses his special on it, which does nothing, meaning that the mushroom is probably invincible until it jumps up to attack you. And then we see something interesting about the blue running creature. After a set time, it comes back to life, and starts to run around again, meaning that it can only be stopped for a short time, never killed. The game even delivers this information to you in a cool way. Every enemy you actually kill explodes in a puff of smoke, but not the blue running dude. Other creatures in later levels may use the same mechanic, so as long as you see the puff, you're in the clear. Speaking of the puff of smoke, some of them are different. Some have lightning and stars, some just lightning, and some just smoke. They vary in size too, and I can't seem to find the reason for these differences. Perhaps it's just random, designed to keep things fresh. Also, if we pause here, we see that sometimes the foreground will block your view. Cuphead fights some more enemies, grabs his 4th and 5th coins, and then completes the level, designated by a red arrow sign, and topped off with a congratulatory bravo. Throughout the level there are no points or anything of the sort, which means you don't really have to kill any of the enemies if you don't want to. At the very least, you don't have to go out of your way to finish them off. The only thing of value are the coins, the game's only currency that we know of. There are 5 in this level, and it would make sense to have the same amount in every one. Seeing how fast this level is completed, I doubt you can replay the same platforming level over and over to farm coins. I imagine it works kind of like how the platforming Mario games handle their large gold coins, and that the coins will only count the first time you get them and complete the level. After that, they may still be there, but they won't count towards anything. And I'm sure you can replay levels to pick up the ones you missed. As I mentioned before, this is probably a World 1 platforming level, considering the background and the fact that most enemies take only a hit or two to defeat. I'm curious to find out how much more difficult and how much longer the levels will be near the end of the game. Will there be levels so long there are checkpoints? What about mini-bosses? Will we see vertical levels, auto-scrolling levels, the list goes on, and I cannot wait to find out. Although we don't see Cuphead die, it would make sense that the punishment for death is simply restarting the level. I'm also curious how many platforming levels each world will have. I'm guessing just a few, maybe 3, as I think bosses are still the main focus of the game. But I could be wrong, and there could be just as many platforming levels as boss fights. Either way, I am not complaining. Lastly, I just want to reiterate how great this game looks in motion, watching a skilled Cuphead run through this level with such finesse, and also how it sounds. Every piece of new footage I see gets me more and more excited for this game. And that is it for this video. Thank you for watching. Let me know in the comments if I missed anything or if you have any theories. Also, stay tuned to this channel for a whole lot of E3 coverage, not just for Cuphead, but for every awesome game shown. Once again, my name is Ryan, aka Lethal Llama, and I'll see you next time.